It's a stretch run. Can't get tired now. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Answers with Guests. This is season 7, week 12.5, halftime adjustments. As I said in the intro, it is the stretch run. We cannot get tired now. I'm fighting it. I'm fighting getting tired. Oh my God. One league lost Nick Chubb early on. Made a trade for Aaron Jones. He can't stay healthy. Jonathan Taylor's now out. And I'm fighting for my playoff life, but you got to keep going. It's a stretch run. You got to keep going. We are Fantasy Football's inside scoop from outside the box. If you are here, say hello. Week 12 was a good week for fantasy football. A couple things we missed on, a couple things we hit on. We'll talk about those shortly once we get into it. I had a league where I was fighting tooth and nail. I made a couple bad roster decisions, and I blame that on one thing and one thing only. And we'll get into that as well. Hopefully, you did not fall victim to that. We got to get ready because it's week 13. And we got 2 weeks left in the regular season, and then hopefully 3 weeks of the playoffs. And once again, if you're only playing for consolation, because you don't make the playoffs, and it is what it is. You got to keep grinding. You play spoiler. Let's get into it. Week 12 answers by guess. ABG3P is the show that we do. Rob and I on the weekends, Friday or Saturday. We talk about. Let me switch this up here. We talk about. Put some leaves in the background. Why not? Mostly props, but the props is fantasy. So if I feel like, or we feel like a player will or won't hit a certain number, that should give you an idea of whether or not you start or sit. We were 20-12. It's a solid week. I'd like to be better. I would have liked to be in 21-11 or 22-10. But it is what it is. A couple close ones, a couple solid calls. Thank God the Thanksgiving games are over. I talked about a couple mistakes that I made, and one of the reasons that I felt like I made them is because with that many Thanksgiving Day guys, and you're sitting down and you're full, or you're waiting to eat and you're having some hors d'oeuvres, you want to be involved in these football games, whether or not that's making some bets, if that's what you like to do, or getting fantasy guys in your lineup. But it's a Thursday game. And that rookie mistake on my part. I don't typically make them, but I made them. And I played too many guys on a Thursday. And it cost me this week. So I'm going to make a note to myself that next year on Thanksgiving, I'm going to fight the urge to have guys in those Thanksgiving games to make them more interesting to me because it's a Thursday game. And a lot of the ancillary guys, unless it's your studs, better off just leaving them on the bench. One of the worst calls I made of the week. I said, let's sit, let's wait, let's see. I was worried the Devon Achan effect, the Debo effect earlier in the year, guys coming back, Aaron Jones from an injury. I said, let's wait and see with Kyron, and look where that got me. It got me a sad face for the people that I told not to play him, and I lost one league by 4 points with Kyron Williams on my bench. Again, a lot of this I felt like had to do uh, with just being afraid. And note to self, not going to do it again. The one thing I will point out with Kyron is it was against the Cardinals, and that should have been enough to put him in. But I wanted to wait because of the H hand and everything else with a guy coming back off a serious injury, IR especially. And I'm hoping that if you were somebody that we said to sit and wait and see, that either you didn't listen and you played them or you won either way. But this week coming up is going to be a lot more difficult for him. So we'll talk more about that when we get into the games in ABG 3P on Friday or Saturday with Rob. Probably going to be Friday, but we'll see. He does it again. Mr. DeVito does it again. That's 2 games in a row. That's 2 Pesci's. That's 2 Tommy DeVitos for you. Does it again. He's looking good out there. The competition he's going against is whatever. But he's playing better than Daniel Jones did at any point this year. So you got to give it up to Mr. DeVito. Remember what I said? Zach Wilson was not the only issue, and Tim Boyle looked worse. It's Nathaniel Hackett that's the issue. What does this do for us with fantasy? Not too much. There's only 2 guys you're playing anyways. And unless you got better options, you just got to keep rolling with them because Garrett Wilson got a garbage time touchdown at the end, helped you out. Brees Hall didn't do too much. But the issue remains Nathaniel Hackett. So at this point in time, although they're still alive, and we'll talk more about that, I don't know, man. If we're going with Boyle, I'm looking elsewhere. Let's get into it. Number 10. The best way to spend game night. Clock hits 8 p.m., go to sleep. These games this year, these night games have been relatively terrible. Last night, I needed Justin Fields to do something. All I could picture was myself with a stick. That meme, do something, do something. And then he went ahead and he fumbled 2 possessions in a row. Almost lost because of it. These games, these night games, have been more of a snooze fest than others, and that's not typical. But it fits right in with 2023. Dobbs comes crashing down. The Nassau rocket explodes. The one thing I'm going to point out, though, there's chatter about who's going to be the quarterback next week. Josh Dobbs needs to be the quarterback. Yeah, he threw 4 picks, but 3 of them were not his fault. When it bounces off a defender's hand at the line or a receiver's face mask, it's not his fault. I'm not sticking up for him, but he's the best that they have. And they are alive. We'll talk about that later. There's my season I talked about in the intro. 2 weeks in a row now, he's finally breaking out. Got his 2 touchdowns last week. Oh, and he's got a phantom broken thumb or whatever. If you took a stab at Jonathan Taylor in your drafts, as I did, you were feeling pretty good about it. Now you got to hope that you held on to Zach Moss. And I got to tell you, like this is what sort of got Rob and I doing this show 7 years ago, over 7 years ago. I had this inkling. I was going to drop Zach Moss in a league to pick up somebody else. And I said, I just have a feeling, Taylor, something's going to happen. I feel I brought it onto myself and onto all of us. I know I did not. I know that's not me. I'm minuscule. I'm a guy in a basement. That's what we are at Answers by Guess. But this is how my season has gone. And Rob, if he was here, he could attest to it. In my most important league, whenever I get going, a guy goes down, whether it be Chubb or Jones or Goddard or Debo or JT. This is what happens. I'm cursed a little bit this year. Number 7, Jordan Love does it again. All right. 2 weeks in a row, we're accurate. We're poised. I don't want to get too excited because I saw what the beginning of the season looked like and the middle of the season looked like and how inaccurate he was and how bad the play calling was. They looked good 2 weeks in a row now. Now they got playoff hopes. So if you got Packers and Christian Watson came to life, let's see what happens if and when Aaron Jones comes back. If it's not this week, it might be the week after. But if you're holding on to him, you need a quarterback. This week's by Mageddon, the last one of the season. He could be gold going against Kansas City. Detroit's annoying. Very annoying. What the hell happened in their defense? 2 weeks in a row, they're absolutely terrible. Now, I talked about 2 seconds ago, Jordan Love, how good he looked. Sure. But come on. Come on. You were ascending to top 5 defense 4 weeks ago. You're bottom 5 at this point. It's putrid. It's putrid. And they got 2 offensive playmakers. Sam Laporta regressed to the means. Jared Goff is off. They're annoying. Finally, Rashid. Finally, it took every single one of their stupid wide receivers being injured for him to finally have his breakout game. And I hope Kansas City wakes up to the fact that he's their best wide receiver, like I said he would be over the summer. I did like Sky Moore, but I said Rashid Rice would be the guy. He was a 5 guy for your eyes when we did the NFC or the AFC West. He's the best they have. But it took Tony being out. Who was the other ones? It doesn't even matter. McKinnon being out, and another one. I don't know. It was the Valdez-Scantling, whoever it was, being out. He's your number one. Use him as a number one. And if you have him on your team, I think he has to be a must start from here on out. Andy Reid is pretty smart. They did it for years with Tyreek Hill. He's not Tyreek Hill, but they will focus on their number one target, especially with Travis Kelce losing a step. So finally, Rashid, it was nice to see. I'm a poet and I know it. For show it. Number 4, the Steelers looking up. You can't see it, but still, it's underneath the logo there. Muth, the new offense liked to feature him. We saw that coming. We recommended Pat Freiermuth highly to anybody that asked. But still, they put up a ton of yards, but still they only put up 16 points. Now, the defense they were playing against was the Bengals. You should have been able to do a little more. We'll see if it gets better, but they are right in the playoff mix. So they fall right into what we're talking mostly about tonight. That's this. You need to pay attention. And let me get rid of this so that you can see it. You need to pay attention. When you are picking guys, and let me get this off of here. When you are picking guys to have in your lineups, these are the types of teams that you want to focus on. Now you say, okay, well, there's 16 teams. This is almost all of them. Yeah. But after this week, this list shrinks another team. And after next week, another team. Now, when it gets in the playoffs, we're not messing around. We're playing the best guys that we have, regardless of matchup most of the time. But when you're looking out there this week for bye Mageddon, the last one of the season with 6 teams on bye, look at these teams. Number 10 in the NFC there, the Saints. Olave's out. Thomas is out. Juwan Johnson doesn't have it all together. We talked about A.T. Perry as somebody to pick up last week. We got another guy, 5 guys for your eyes. They're still alive. So if you're looking for somebody, maybe a Saint is somebody you want to go find. Maybe somebody on the Rams. Somebody on these teams. These are the teams that are still fighting. And since you're still fighting, you need to take advantage of those guys and the other teams that are maybe playing for that top 5 pick, sort of like those guys sit. Cowboys are still looking the part. We talked last week that we've seen this before. We said that they would look good on Thanksgiving. It's what they do. But it's after that where we typically see Dallas fall apart. Now, they play Thursday this week, and they play against this team. They are falling apart. This is going to be a very interesting Thursday night game. I said in the intro and in the first slide, I feel like my biggest mistake last week was playing too many Thursday guys, and they screwed me. I was dead before Sunday, and I was playing catch up. And whenever I threw a punch, my opponent threw a punch back even harder. And it was like that Paul Abdul song: one step forward, two steps back, opposites attract. Remember that video with the little cat in it? And that's a mistake that now I'm a little worried about. Now, if Kenneth Walker doesn't play again, you got to roll with Charbonnet even against Dallas because he's going to be a pass catcher. He's better than DJ Dallas. But DJ Dallas, I think it was last year, did well against Dallas. And it was something that I even mentioned last year. I said, whenever a player plays against a team with his name, half joking, you got to use him. So DJ Dallas might be a sneaky Thursday play. They're going to be playing from behind. But if Dallas can continue to play how they are playing, they can essentially end the Seahawks season, I think. And the Seahawks start making other plans for next year because they need a quarterback. Because Geno is not it. 5 guys for your eyes this week. Lynn Bowden Jr. He surfaced out of nowhere. I didn't even know he was on the Saints, but he got a bunch of burn last week and looked pretty good. He struggled with injuries, but they got a ton of guys injured. If you're dying for something, he used to have the wide receiver / running back. That's valuable in fantasy, but he might only be valuable 1 week. Chiggy, Mr. Okonkwo, finally did something last week. Will Levis was like, oh, I have a tight end. And he looked good. Jalen Hyatt's a bit of a cheat code here because we've talked about him throughout the season, but he's another one. They finally like, oh, I can throw to him less than 10 yards. I don't have to just chuck the ball 30 yards downfield with Jalen Hyatt. He has another skill set. Yeah, they're on a bye this week, but he could be something of importance because if they realized, it seemed they did, that he could be a possession type guy, and I do like that they're using Isaiah Hodgins again. But Jalen Hyatt has the speed. If he can catch it short and take it, he's their best wide receiver. Throughout the beginning of the season, the first 8 to 10 or even 11 weeks, all he was doing was running down the field and they were throwing deep. Now they realize, oh, I can get him across the middle, 5-yard pass, let him do the rest. Jalen Hyatt could be, I don't want to use the term league winner, but he could be something. He's probably sitting out there, but a lot of people are probably going after him after last week, but maybe not because he's on a bye this week. Mr. Boog, Brandon Powell. A couple weeks in a row, he's looked good for Minnesota. Now, I know that Mr. Jefferson is coming back and they are on a bye, but he's got a little bit more burst in him than Osborne at this point. So it's something to put your eyes on. And number 1, Jeremy Rucker. Why? Because the Jets suck, and all they have is Garrett Wilson and Tim Boyle's the quarterback. They said they want to get Rucker involved more. Conklin is not the answer. If you're dying at tight end, he's a guy to keep your eyes on. Questions from the group. Rob wants to know, give us some insight. His relevance in week 14, who is throwing to him? Well, I answered that. It's going to be Dobbs. It has to be Dobbs. They can't go with the rookie again. They can't go with, what's his face, Nick, I can't think of the dude that used to play for San Francisco. They're not going with him. It's got to be Dobbs. He was fine. He had the interceptions, but he was fine. He led him down the field for a go-ahead touchdown. He's fine. The game last night was just crap. And if you get Justin Jefferson back, you got to use him. So I think it's pretty simple. The insight is relevance. He's fine. Probably could have played this week, but with the bye week next week, why not hold him out one more to get two more? Tim says 6 in a row. Definitely in playoffs looking for the number 2 seed. He has no studs, but he has consistent guys who got me what I needed to win. 2 weeks left. Let's keep it going. That's right. You don't need the studs. You need consistency. Consistency is the name of the game this season, more than ever before, because the ebbs and flows have been abundant. The studs have been missing in action quite often. And if and when the quarterbacks go down or the defenses suffer, it takes away the wide receivers or the running backs. So consistent guys over the studs has kind of been what you need. I can't tell you how inconsistent the majority of my teams are. There's 1 week I put up 145. The next week I put up 89. It's like, what the heck? It's the same exact guys, but that's football. It's week to week. Jeremy wants to know next week. Basically, he's going to have a tough 2 weeks. He needs a quarterback when they'll not buy. You can hardly see it. The top 3 guys are the best 3, Howell, Mayfield, and Love. Now, he did say later on that he has Kansas City defense, so he doesn't know if he wants to play Love. I'm with you there. Pickett's not bad. It would be one of those. Personally, I'd probably go with Baker, I think, going against Carolina, or Howell going against Miami, because Howell's going to chuck the ball. And we just talked about you need consistency. He's consistently throwing the ball 40 times a game, or seemingly so. Spencer needed to vent. He posted this on Sunday in the early stages of the third quarter. His weekend was ruined. This is why we don't give up and we don't freak out too soon. But you spoke it into existence. And that, my friend, is a Larry verse to the fullest. And you did it wonderfully. And I'm hoping that you won. We got comments here live. We got just one. Josue, hopefully you're still with us. The show's still a hold. With Jordan back, his snaps went down. Yeah, Brevin Jordan, but he didn't look great. He looked okay. Schultz is a hold depending on who your other tight ends are, Josue. Not sure who you got. Not sure if you're still with us. But he's gonna ebb and flow. All the receivers have done so. Schultz had a 3-4 game stretch where he was king of the world. He was top 3 in the league for tight ends. He's regressed to the mean a little bit. They were getting Tank involved. Last week, Tank Dell had an amazing first half and threw a pass to him that got called back by a terrible holding call, or I don't remember what it was. Or maybe it was the one where he didn't stop. He didn't set himself. Okay, illegal motion. But then the second half was all Nico Collins. So it's like when you have these guys and you're going against a team that guards the tight end pretty well, you're going to have a down game. So I'd imagine he's your bench guy. He doesn't need to be held, but you better hope that your starter is a stud. Spencer dropped Ferguson for Muth. I'm okay with that. I think we just have to hope Muth stays past his injury, and Ferguson is at best number 2 on his team, and we could even say number 3 because Schoonmaker gets targets in the end zone, and Cooks, Gallup, Tolbert, now my boy Jalen Tolbert finally coming up, could be the number 2. So Ferguson, drop for Muth, yeah, because when do they like to use Ferguson? When they're close more often or early in a drive. they're using Muth every step of the way. And in the new offense, I think that's a trend. I think they realize we've got to use our tight end more to help us move the ball. So, yeah, I'm fine with that. And this could be a quick one, and that's good because as you could hear, my voice is not great. And I got a bunch of stuff to do upstairs. 'Tis the season. Um, but I appreciate those of you that came to watch. We will probably do ABG 3P on Friday. I have to talk to Rob to see what his best day is. Fridays have been working a little bit better. If we don't do Friday, it will be Saturday. Pay attention to Facebook for that. And if you subscribe to us on YouTube or on X, or even if you're watching us on Twitch, you can get updates there. When we go live, it should notify you. So we have more watchers right now than we've had the whole program. However, if there are no further questions, let's see on Thursday. Learn from my brain fart rookie mistake. We know there's no need to rush a guy in on Thursday, especially when you have equal options. I rushed guys in on Thursday. It cost me a week in my most important league. Now I need to win out these last two. And without Jonathan Taylor, that is going to be difficult. I may have cost myself a season, but I'm alive in 5 other leagues. And I'm going to keep fighting. Even if I lose and get out of the playoffs, I'm going to play spoiler because that's what you need to do. You paid your entry fee, get your money's worth. Thanks for checking in. Answers with Guess. We'll be back for week 13. Stay tuned for updates. Thank you.